Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As promised, this is the first Q&A from all the inquiries I got from my Instagram story. So, wrote down a handful of them. We're going to run through them, and I'll just give you my take on everything. So, first question, easy height and weight, 215, and I'm 6'1". Been trying to get to 220 for a little while now, but it seems I'm pretty close to my genetic peak, if you will. And I guess we can kind of piggyback with another question on here is, are you natty? And that's been following me for a while. That's a yes. Next, do you take creatine, and what do you recommend? Yes, I recommend everyone take creatine, just from a muscle building perspective, for endurance, strength. There's a lot of cognitive benefits as well. So if you don't take it, you should. Around 5 grams a day. I take probably between 7 and 8 grams a day, just because I'm a bigger person. That's like the 5 grams is for the average person. So if you're a little bit bigger, you can take a little bit more. One thing is, doesn't matter when you take creatine, because it's a saturation compound. So it takes about 3 days for it to build up into your system, and then you just want to maintain that saturated point of creatine. So I just take it every day in the morning, just part of my supplement routine. What do you eat daily to stay fit? So I've been promising what I eat in the day for a very long time now. It is coming up. I just have to remember before I eat my breakfast, but I typically eat the same thing for breakfast every day. I do 6 eggs and half pound of ground beef. Sometimes I'll mix in some fruit, but usually I just do that. That's 82 grams of protein, so very high protein early in the day, because I've been doing no protein powder. So in order for me to hit my goals, I have to have a very, very high protein dense breakfast. Then for lunch, I'll usually do some sort of chicken, broccoli, rice, like pretty standard. And then dinner, I'll probably bring it back to the red meat. Usually do some sort of steak with a green and a lot of fruit. And I've been on a Greek yogurt kick as well. So that'll be like my dessert. It'll be some dark chocolate, Greek yogurt, frozen berries. And that usually brings me around 225 grams of protein, around like 3,000 calories. So what are your thoughts on lower volume but high intensity? So I'm a big fan. I think it depends on where you are in your training career. At the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of trial and error, right? So for me in particular, there are certain body parts that respond better to lower volume, and there are certain body parts that respond better to higher volume. And that's just something that I've learned from my body over the years and over 14 years of training. So what I think everyone should do is kind of take note of what's working and what's not. There's another question on here that's saying, chest has been feeling good, been doing high volume for a long time, but it just doesn't seem to get bigger or grow. I mean, that's something you have to be cognizant of and say, hey, I've been doing high volume for a long time. I do feel like I'm getting stronger, but I'm not growing. This could be a good time to try and lower the volume and see how your body then responds. And then over time, your body's just going to change. So what might be working for you now might not work for you 3 years down the road. And then from an intensity perspective, always, in my opinion, always train to failure if you are implementing deload phases at some point, but intensity and consistency is key. Any recommendations for upper chest? So it comes to the chest, upper, lower, middle. There's really no secret sauce, in my opinion. You just have your standard chest press variations, whether it's machine, dumbbell, barbell, and you have a variety of fly variations. I think with the chest, it just comes down to finding the right volume sets that work for you, whether it's high or low. For me, my chest responds better to lower volume, and just make sure you're maxing out your intensity and also building up that mind muscle connection. It's very easy for those front delts to come into play or overcompensate if your shoulders aren't in the right position. Same thing for the triceps. So mind muscle connection and finding the right volume, and then of course high intensity. What is achievable / can be expected during the first 2 to 4 years of lifting? So I'm going to knock that down from 2 to 4 and say the first year to year and a half. So that is referred to as quote unquote newbie gains. So the first year to year and a half of lifting is when you'll see the most substantial gains, or the most substantial muscle growth. And you can expect, if you're consistently working out, following the right program, training hard, diet's in check, you can gain around 2 pounds of muscle per month in that newbie gain phase. And then after that first 12 to 16 months, or 12 to 18 months, then, you know, that chart will slowly start to level out, and you can expect to be around 1 pound a month. And then as you continue to lift, it'll still continue to flatten. It's about half a pound a month, quarter, until you're really just striving towards that genetic peak, which I'm close to myself, I think. Did you want to become a fitness influencer or in the realm of it? I think that's a good question. It's never like the plan, really. I mean, when I first started getting into lifting, you know, Mike Thurston, he was like my #1 fitness influencer that I followed. It was a very different era of influencers back then. But it was nothing I aspired to be. I just had a few videos go viral, saw an opportunity, I got a lot of positive feedback, and then as people reached out to me and said how inspiring I was to them and how I've, you know, given them guidance and helped change their lives a little bit, it was pretty rewarding, and I kind of just leaned into it. So it wasn't the plan, but, you know, day by day, you never know what opportunities are going to come your way, and try and capitalize on them at the end of the day. So what is your take on yoga? Funny question. As you can see, this is a hot spot for yoga behind me. I've been saying I'm gonna do it for a long time. I definitely need to. My hips are tightening up, my back are tightening up. Not tightening up, they've been locked up for a while. And I know it's everyone who does it, they live and die by it. So there's a lot of truth to that, the fact that it works. I haven't done it yet myself. I plan to. I've been saying I'm gonna do it for a while. What I run into is I'll like look at my weekly schedule and I'll say, okay, I only have time to do one or the other, lift or do yoga. And then when the time comes to decide, I just pick lifting over yoga every single time. But my body's starting to feel it a little bit. So I think I need to force myself to do it before my body forces myself to do it, if that makes sense. That's a knock on wood, hoping I don't get injured. But yes, it does work. I just can't speak to it personally. Is it true that the stash increases strength and endurance? Yes, I'm done gatekeeping that one from you guys. There are more studies coming out that are proving if you have a mustache, you can lift around 10% more than if you didn't have a mustache. So if you can grow facial hair, from a muscle building perspective, it's key. What to do for elbow pain? I'm sure that question was asked because I've had some medial epicondylitis problems. Best thing to do is just go to the doctor. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. I've tried to do it myself. You think you know what's going on, you Google it, watch some YouTube videos, try and fix it yourself. It's just not gonna be very efficient. Just bite the bullet, go to the doctor, figure out what's actually going on, and then if you get prescribed physical therapy, they're gonna, you know, remediate the issue 100 times faster than you will on your own. I think at the end of the day, most people are just lazy. I get it. I've gotten injured or hurt in the past. I'm like, fuck this, I can figure it out myself. And then it just prolongs the process, and you injure it even more because you're not doing the right thing to fix the issue. So if you're dealing with some problems, just get it checked out, get some physical therapy if you need it, and that'll be that. All right, how do you bulk while staying lean? So don't confuse this one with bulking while cutting, because that's not really possible. In order for you to truly build muscle, if you're in a caloric deficit to cut, you're really not going to be able to do that. However, you can bulk while being in a maintenance phase. So if you are somewhat lean, you know, if you're in that 10 to 12% body fat, you know, you can still just exceed your protein goals and stay at that maintenance and still build muscle. It might not be as effective as going on a full-on bulk and being, you know, a 300 to 500 calorie surplus, but you can stay relatively lean and still put on muscle over an extended period of time. But don't confuse that with being able to, you know, substantially lose weight or shred body fat while still building a ton of muscle. But the most important thing to keep in mind if you are trying to, you know, stay at that maintenance or stay lean while putting on muscle is hitting or exceeding your protein goals. That's going to be the most important thing. Last question. I have long arms, I'm slender, how do I build mass? So typically for guys that are, or girls that are skinnier, taller, slimmer, it's genetically might be a little tougher for you to build some mass, but it's just gonna come down to the bread and butter of it, just forcing yourself to eat, because what I've seen is typically those kind of people, it's very hard for them to put on weight, but at the same time, it's also very difficult for them to eat in any sort of surplus. Typically those people are under eating as well. So it comes down to just the proper workout regimen, the intensity. It's gonna be harder for you to build muscle, but it's gonna be even harder if you're not in a pretty drastic calorie surplus, because chances are your metabolism is crazy as well. So you're gonna have to counteract that with an even higher surplus, force yourself to eat higher density, higher calorically dense foods, and very high protein. It's not, unfortunately, there's no secret sauce that's gonna just pack on muscle for you. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that was it. So that's it. Well, this was fun. I love answering questions for you guys. So I'll run another one of these in a couple weeks. We'll get some more feedbacks from different questions. But as always, guys, thank you for your time here. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.